So inviting yourself to get comfortable and find some ease in the body, whether you're sitting upright or whether you're lying down. And once you find that position that's going to support your meditation practice, let's take a deep breath in through the nose. And as you exhale, inviting the eyelids to come down, like pulling the shades over the windows, or just turning your gaze downward, so that we invite ourselves to come into greater darkness, so that we can experience on this winter solstice the darkness that is surrounding us at this time. Opening to what is here as we pause, as we take a pause from whatever activities we might have been engaged in before now. Consciously choosing to drop into stillness, relative stillness. Relative silence. And perhaps relative darkness. And we come together to celebrate the darkness and the return of the light, as these two opposites together create balance. One cannot exist without the other. And so inviting the body to settle, to find ease, and sensing the support beneath the body, sitting or lying down. And we can imagine ourselves as we settle into the earth, that we are settling into the starkness of winter. Perhaps even imagining ourselves settling into the death that surrounds, the death of life that has fallen away from summer through fall, the leaves perhaps lying and decaying on the earth. That there was a time when the vibrancy and aliveness and the color of the earth was vibrant. And the long road from summer to winter, where things start to fall down, to curl in on itself, to begin withering away. And as life falls into death and darkness, there is the hope of the return of life and the return of the light. And we join the ancients that gathered together at sacred places like Stonehenge and many places in the Northern Hemisphere, recognizing that the darkness has descended and people gathered in hope for the light to return. That what appears to be perishing, it perishes only to be reborn again. And deep down in the cellars of homes, beginning from ancient times, and perhaps even in our own places, we have stored the abundance from the harvest. Preserving life to sustain us through the winter. And in modern times, we often avoid the light. We run from the light. When night falls, we turn on artificial lights. We might turn on devices that emit light, whether it be our handheld devices or our televisions. And it's only at nighttime when we retire to bed for sleep that we often let ourselves truly enter into the depths of darkness. And so let us be in the dark. Sensing the darkness all around. Imagining the darkness beneath the body. The darkness below the surface of the earth. And the darkness of the night sky above. Darkness before us and behind us, and on each side. And if there is fear that arises from the darkness within, we can remember that the darkness always recedes and the light always returns. And as we tap into the wisdom, the innate wisdom of the body knowing, we know that our own life, our very own life of this body that we inhabit, grew in the darkness of our mother's wombs. And it wasn't until the body was complete enough that we emerged from the darkness of the womb into the light. And as we take this very breath that it's entering the body right now in this moment through the nostrils, this breath comes from the light and enters the darkness within the body. The darkness of the lungs, and as this breath oxygenates blood that flows through the darkness of the veins, and all the alive nutrients of food that we consume that enters into the body. And as we swallow this food, it enters the darkness. And nutrients are carried through the darkness into every cell to nourish within the darkness of organs and tissues. And likewise, while we sit on this earth with the shriveling up and decaying of life all around us, we might feel the vibrations of life beneath, the seeds that are buried deep in the earth, in the darkness. Within every seed, there is that light of life itself. And life is paused for the winter season. And the energy slowly builds within each and every seed, builds ever so slowly until it is time. Time in spring to burst up through the earth, sending its shoots from the seed up through the earth's crust. And the intelligence of every seed knows that it is not time for the light yet. And the seeds lay and rest until that time. And just like many animals that hibernate deep in the womb of Mother Earth, in the darkness, we too take our rest. Moving more slowly, sleeping longer perhaps, and spending more time in the darkness. And as the northern hemisphere, especially in the west, tips itself the furthest away from the sun, places like Norway and other Scandinavian countries live in darkness for days. And an entire day on the winter solstice, an entire day of complete darkness. And so we'll pause and we'll rest for several more breath cycles, contemplating, being with the darkness. And as we sit in meditation, you might notice that the mind wanders, that we might get lost in thoughts, avoiding the darkness. We can return to the breath of life, and sense that very breath entering into the body and into the darkness as a reminder of the ancient wisdom that shows us that this darkness is essential, that without it there can be no life. That it's in the rest and the quiet that life becomes. That we restore and renew and regenerate. Just like each night when we sleep. Returning to the darkness and letting it enshroud us like a cloak, a blanket that we can fully relax into. And within the darkness that is here, we can begin to Remember the light and perhaps sense the inner light within. Using imagination, we can perhaps see a candle flame, a tiny flicker, that even as the seeds lie dormant, seemingly dormant, deep in the earth's womb, that light of life and the potential for it to burst forward is still within it. And this tiny flicker is like hope. The ancients hoped that the light would return. And we might imagine this tiny flicker of light beginning to grow, casting shadows. Sensing the breath as it moves through the body, reminding us of the aliveness, our connection to the life force and the great mystery. And beginning to perhaps flutter the eyes as we imagine the light within, and letting any light that surrounds to enter the eyes slowly. And if we have a candle, might be, if we have that candle, we can choose to light it now as a symbol of the light. And placing the candle in a place where it can be seen. In the last few breath cycles of our meditation, we'll simply allow ourselves to gaze into the flame, to see and to be with the light of hope, the light of connection with all of life. And to remember the wisdom of the ancients. We are the light. And so you may stay as long as you'd like, letting your meditation continue, gazing in and with the light. Or if you're ready to bring this practice to a close, you can join me in bringing hands to heart. And dropping inside once again. With eyes closed, you might be able to see the after image of the flame, of that light that lives within. And in this way, we celebrate both the darkness, the great mysteries that allow life to unfold in known and unknown ways. That without this darkness, this period of rest, this period of rejuvenation, that only the darkness enables the light to return. And bowing the head towards the light within, and bowing to each other. Namaste.